Welcome back to Goldenridge. Today we're developing detailed farmlands, building a roadside market and supply center, and making real progress on our newest city. So let's get to work. Okay, so a couple episodes ago, we looked at this little valley area and laid out some roads for some farmland, and then I got distracted. And we started a new town, and we added a bunch of details stuff, and we added a rock slide, which I'm still really stoked about. But today, I actually want to take a look at this little area. So let's take a look here and check out what we have. So that can be set up anywhere. I think fertile land, we'll need fertile land for most of these. So I believe, I think we are good on the fertile land. I just realized that I did not check this area before we wanted to build on it. So we're good. And so I think let's start with some grain farming, and I don't want to have anything set on this main road. I want to kind of bring these out a bit, and I'm looking at, speaking of the land, I think we need to do a little bit of smoothing and terraforming, because I think we really just kind of dropped these roads in here rather haphazardly. Not a phrase you get to use every day, so that's exciting. And I want to just kind of I don't want this to be like totally flat, but I also don't want it to be too crazy. What I might end up doing actually is making, let's take the roads and we'll make them flat, and then we can worry about adding some variation with some of the stuff in between the roads. So I think we'll take basically all of this, and let's flatten that down to meet, we'll say here. So, oh wow, there's a lot more variation here than I realized. So now we can flatten this all out, and that should, yep, that lines up a lot better. I actually do like that this is a little elevated. So that is good. And we'll just fill in quite a bit of this, and then we can kind of smooth, that's the wrong tool, smooth out some of this, and we'll get that all finalized at some point, but just to get us in a good place. So now we can take a grain farm, and I think we're going to set most of these, even though they're off already little roads, I want to set these a little bit off even farther. So really getting these, I want to try to keep these kind of organic and natural, and not kind of leave them on squares or anything like that. I end up making these too uniform looking most of the time, and I don't know, they never quite feel right. So actually I'm going to keep snapping off, because I want these to be close to the roads, but I want to leave a little bit of space. So I just want to have them following the road here a bit. And actually, I'm going to have it more meet around like this. All right, I think that's not too bad. And then let's see. So vegetable farming, we can get something kind of out here across the street. Let's just put these at some sort of angle. Maybe we'll just stick it like that. And then just kind of bring these over. And I'm trying to use a lot of access points here to keep these feeling hopefully fairly organic there. Oh, that's right. I forget they all use the exact same texture. And I based on what I was trying with, yeah, you can't really do much about that. I think we can put some stuff over it. So we'll see. Let's see. Can we put any of these large? I think there were some. Let's see. Where was the one I was just looking at earlier? There was a really... this one, I think, maybe. That one does go over, but that wasn't it. Okay, so we can kind of... Looks like we can get most of these. Looks like all of these, actually, maybe. Yeah, on top. So we'll just have to do a fair share of detailing on these, which is not ideal, but maybe we end up... Maybe that's actually a good reason to keep these a little smaller. So let's actually go through and let's just kind of undo some of this. I think keeping them smaller actually makes... I know that farms get very big, obviously, but I think just with the textures and, again, with the scale of, you know, the way that you kind of have to make everything a little smaller than it would be in real life in this game. I mean, I think maybe just making it a little smaller. I got a lot of respect for people that try one-to-one scale stuff. I tried it once in Sea Skylines 1 with a real small town, and I ended up losing the save to a computer crash, and because everything was saved in app data, I wasn't able to retain that save, but I didn't get very far into it, but I got far enough to realize that I probably didn't actually want to do that. I'm going to start this one just over again here. I think if put this one, I want to get this guy more like that. There we go. And then we can keep this a little more like that. I already like that way, way better. And then I think we'll go with some livestock somewhere. Let's see. Turn our contour lines on. Yeah, we can do livestock kind of over here. And just kind of bring that up by the road. Oop, went the wrong direction on that. Let's bring these back. Oh, not all well. And then, okay, so yeah, let's bring this up kind of like that. We can let our animals kind of get some traffic views. And let's see. We have... Does it actually tell you once you place them which one they are? Agriculture hub? It's not very specific. It really doesn't. All right. I think we did these three. I don't think we did textiles. So we can get... let's see. Maybe tuck a small one in. Put this one right on this road just because we haven't really done that yet. And bring that over here and let that kind of work its way around. And this one I think will go just kind of straight over here and bring that in. So that's not bad. And then let's go ahead and get rid of these trees because I kind of like a few of them on the fields because I think that's, I don't know, probably not super realistic as I was about to say it, but it does look interesting. So maybe we lean on the side of isn't real but looks cool. It turns out that my train track going down the middle of our new city is real, and that there is a place known as LaGrange, Kentucky. LaGrange, Kentucky apparently has the train going right down the city street for just a couple blocks. So it's, I don't know if that's the one I had seen at some point but I know that at one point or another, I did see that. So I didn't think I was completely making it up. And it turns out I was not. So we'll get just a simple little road coming in like that. And for this guy, can kind of drag it out here. And this guy kind of come over that way. And this one is already on the road. And then I want to get rid of the fences. I just think we can put on our own fences or not have them. They just feel a little too perfect. So we'll get those out of there. And then let's also lay down some grass or some other kind of textures of our own, because I think that goes a long way to helping this feel a little varied. So even if we don't end up kind of texturing and detailing a bunch of this stuff ourselves, we get just a bits of some other looks. So I wonder what these other industry surfaces look. Oil's probably not. Yeah, that one's looking a little dull, which is not surprising. Or maybe... No, that's the one we used up in Rockwell, and it did not look good. Agriculture we have. Landfill's going to look ridiculous, probably. I mean, I guess when you get close, it does kind of look like trash, but that's not the worst. But I think we'll just go with some of this dirt here. It is awfully repetitive, but I think there's a few things we can do. So, okay. So, yeah. So for this, I think we will just fill in a little bit of our own kind of, maybe this is an old field or something that isn't in use anymore. And it's just kind of dirt or in between harvest, that kind of thing. So we can get something like that. And then I think let's try, these green ones don't look too different from this grass. So maybe we end up just leaving a bit of grass patch without textures and stuff. But let's see if kind of putting a, let's see, where do we have a good space? Kind of pretty good on space over here, actually. We're using a lot of this. Just trying to fill this in. Just as a, yeah, you can barely see that, but I think, oh, and I just erased it. But I think when we have other stuff going on in here, this will feel better when it's surrounded by lots of other textures and stuff. And then one thing I also want to do is give, a lot of these kind of farming areas aren't just like a house sitting around and that's kind of it. So they do have, a few other, they've got a few other warehouse things going on, but I really want to drop in some of our own stuff. So let's look at buildings, and I think, let's see, grain farming. So that's just one of these. But yeah, like that's kind of a nice thing to build out as like a little separate complex. And I'm just going to get rid of the surfaces. Actually, I'm going to get rid of, first of all, these fences and all this. And we're going to do our own stuff for all that. So I just really want to get rid of kind of at least all of that. And the same here. So, and then let's see. Yeah, I think we just want to have something out there, and then we'll also give these guys a little warehouse for some, or maybe actually they have those kind of canopy looking. Yeah, these guys, which technically is agriculture storage. So it actually is what we want. But I think it'd be cool to have, let's just do agriculture here. If you spell it right, it helps to look things up. Where is there's like a big one? Like this kind of thing. These you see kind of built into the land a lot, which unfortunately without the prop buildings, which from what I've understood, that mod is not working right now, but that would be cool to be able to build these really into the land, because that is definitely a thing. All right, so we'll just drop in a couple of those, and again, we're going to get rid of all of these surfaces, and let's see if we can throw in a road. So these guys can stop bugging me for notifications. And then I don't know exactly where is the road over on this side. It is not. So let's see if we can move this. One thing about getting rid of the surfaces is it does make it a little hard to know what side. Oh, so it looks like this side, or maybe it is that side. Interesting. Would not have thought it was that side, but all right. So that's looking good. And then I think for this we'll put something else. Let's see what we can find. Kind of getting some of these things out here would be good too. So stop clicking onto the road there, and then yeah, something in there with that guy. I also wonder if, do these other surfaces, like, is that going to work over does this go over like that? Because that would be helpful. It does. So I actually think we're going to get rid of this one because I want to use it for some more of these kind of industrial things. So I want to move this and kind of give this its own little space and make these little mini industrial zones attached to these farms. I think is definitely realistic in terms of, you know, these cute little home farms are great, but they're going to have some facilities, you know, on a real serious agriculture setup. So I think just getting in some stuff like this will really go a long way to helping this feel as real as we can. And then we'll just kind of wrap that around and bring this off like that. So yeah, all right, that's in the right direction. I'm going to go through here and kind of hit up some of the detailing and just kind of build this out a little more so it's feeling a little better. And then we're going to jump over to our new city, which will need a name. But yeah, I want to get this going a lot more, get a bunch of people moved in and figure out these downtowns. I think I started off making them a little bit too dense, so we'll sort that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is off to a pretty good start. Got lots of these decals in there and just really mixing things up and trying to make everything feel as natural as possible. And these buildings that pop up in the middle of your farming are weird. I know what they're trying to go for is basically what I've kind of got going on here with this second building. But yeah, I don't know if I'm not sure if Better Bulldozer will get rid of that or not. I'll look into that. But yeah, I think this place is looking great. Lots of details going on here. And then we have a little orchard area with a barn and a warehouse that just are Just kind of filling up space and bringing some variation. And then another farm over here. And this one I'm really liking, especially just this kind of the road wrapped around kind of the dry grass areas, and this tree out here. We just got some old vehicles underneath it. And yeah, I'm really pretty happy with these two spots overall. So I'll come back in and kind of match these other two up for now. But what I want to do now real quick is just throw in a little kind of rural shopping situation. So just a gas station, a general store, of kind of feed and farming type store. So just something really, really basic. So I'm just going to start with a little road layout here. And I just want to kind of make like a little mini roadside shopping situation. So we're just going to kind of bring in something like this and bring that around. And then I want to take these two lane kind of parking roads and just bring something in like that. And then just kind of bring this in to merge there. And then let's see, I think we'll also, so we'll take this and actually I wonder if we just use it's kind of come right out from right about like this kind of, and I think that's gonna work. And we'll just kind of bring in something like that. And then so right on this one I want to use this real grocery store looking grocery store. It does have its own parking that we are going to get rid of. So we're just going to get rid of all of this. We don't need any. Actually, we'll keep this surface and see if we can't just bring it back a bit, kind of in line like that. And then just get rid of all of this. And what do we have? Let's see. I don't know what kind of, not decals. Well, let's see if we just, is that going to go on top of the road? It is, and that's going to look weird. I wonder what those are. Well, that is less than ideal, but I think we're just gonna make it work. That can just kind of be a crosswalk. Maybe I don't know, we'll put in a pedestrian path and see if that doesn't just kind of, I think that hides it enough. It's not ideal, but that'll be fine. Okay, and then I did want to put in one of these small gas stations, the North American ones. So we can tuck in something like that, kind of. Just kind of throw this right around there, and then let's get in just some low, kind of want like something that kind of looks like a feed store kind of thing. This also has its own parking lot, so what we're going to do is we're going to give it another road out like that. And then this should be able to sit on that, but it is very close to the gas station. So we're just going to scoot this over a little bit. And we can just tuck that in right about there. I'm actually not loving that. So let's see if we can find one of these. I think there's a version without its own parking lot, or we'll just get rid of it like we did before. Let's see. There we go. So we'll throw that in, and then we can make this maybe we'll kind of do like a little nursery supply area, and then just some basic. I was also wondering if this is, let's see, where's the, there's the brewery, but that, I don't know. It's not bad. It's got the kind of barn looking roof thing. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. We'll place another one of these down somewhere else, because I mean, a brewery is an awesome thing to have, but I think that works pretty nice. And yeah, so that was kind of all I wanted to do here. Obviously, this will need some detailing and stuff, but yeah, you know, we get some bushes in here and some trees going along, and I think this will just be a really cool little area to. I want this to be, you know, a nice rural area out here, farmland and stuff, but I think that they shouldn't have to go all the way into Moffett for, you know, milk and bread and gas and some basic supplies. So I think having just a little off the highway shopping center here makes a lot of sense. Again, if you take the kind of perceived scale into mind here, I think, you know, think of Moffett as being 30 or so minutes away, at least, if not farther. So yeah, I think that'll be sweet. So we'll get that detailed up, and then we will hop on over to our new area. Okay, that will do it. I think there's probably a few more tiny things I can pop in at some point, but that's kind of what I had in mind. I just wanted a little rural strip mall shopping kind of thing. So I think, if you need a crate or a bin or whatever other random things this stuff is called, you can hop on right over here across the street and then head back to your farm to get your work done. So yeah, I think this is turning into a pretty sweet little rural area, and we'll check in on it. Also threw in this radio tower. I think this is to alert for natural disasters, which I do not have enabled, but I think it looks cool. You do see these kind of radio towers out here, so I think that just kind of adds to this. I don't know that it's going to stay there, but I just wanted to plop it down so I remember to use it. Cool. But yeah, now let's head over to our new area. Okay, so as I came back into this area to start recording, I decided I wasn't totally happy with the street layout, and I maybe got a little hasty with it last time, just trying to get it done or get something down. So I wanted to extend a bit of this railroad train road that we had going on and scoot the station down just a bit. I thought that the alignment felt a little forced, and I didn't like the angle, the way the road was coming out. And so I think this is much cleaner. We don't have it now like leaving our downtown road or our main strip there and then crossing another road. This way it only crosses the main thoroughfare once, which I think just makes a bit more sense. And it took me a second to get this stuff lined up again, but I was kind of looking at some small towns on Google Earth, and I think that in my want to not just make this like a super, straight up gridded kind of thing and keep it interesting, I got a little too interesting, and these old towns are pretty fairly boring in terms of the road layout for the most part. These small old towns from the 1800s and stuff, they're they didn't start with a lot of crazy infrastructure. They just laid some roads down and went from there. So I'm just going through here and trying to grid these up a little more straightforward. I think that we can still have a little variation, and I think that our main thoroughfare having that bend helps for sure. But overall, I just wanted these things to be a little more lined up and running kind of along the river. A lot of these small towns that you see, even in a lot of the stuff in the Midwest and Iowa and Kansas and stuff, every little town is on water. So a lot of them do have kind of boundary roads that follow the curve of the water and then have a grid kind of lined up within that. So I think that feels a bit better for here. And then I'd kind of do the same thing on the other side of the road here and just straighten this out and build in a more right angle grid, just kind of based on stuff I was seeing and not overthinking it and trying to be fancy for the sake of fancy and remembering to make, let things be what they are, and that's where the realism will come, is when you just kind of, if you're building something, a modern kind of cool looking crazy city, then do some crazy stuff and that'll feel right. But when you're going for these old American industry towns in the middle of Colorado or Kansas or Idaho or California, whatever, they just laid some roads down and made it happen. So I think this is all starting to feel way better. And then in terms of buildings, I think that I was getting a little dense and a little bit too high last time with kind of the buildings we had. I do want this particular block to be a little denser and have some buildings on it with some stories, but I think that in general, spreading this stuff out a little bit would be good. And then trying to fit in kind of this more modern looking park here that I think you can imagine. There probably was an old building here that got demolished, and more recently they ended up, filling that area with a park rather than, densifying it back up. But there was an old mill here or something that just made sense at the time, but got replaced with a more modern day park. And this park did cause some real funk with the road here, but overall, I think this park looks great there. It's got a little amphitheater in it, which I think would be nice. You come out from your hotel, or shopping downtown, and there's some live music in the park there. I think that would be a sweet little place for people visiting, or even just people who are come in from other close areas and are spending the afternoon here to hang out. So yeah, and then just filling the rest of this bit in with some buildings. We've got another little modern restaurant here right on the edge of the water, which I think kind of fits along with that new park. So maybe there were two old buildings here that were torn down or collapsed or just got old or whatever. So and then I was trying to see, this is a smaller town. A lot of these kind of bigger assets, stuff's really small, or it's really have a huge footprint in this game. So it's really trying to find something in between that can be a little challenging, but is part of the fun in some of the variations. So I'm just going to go through here and lay down the rest of these buildings, and then we'll look at some details here in real time. Okay, so overall, I think this whole area is just looking much better. I think this layout is making a lot more sense to me. We still have a lot of these bigger buildings, these big hefty brick buildings, but I think it looks a lot more realistic and straightforward, and got this nice big main street going on. And so little hotel over here, kind of a modern hotel, roadside hotel. Maybe you stay downtown or you stay over in this little roadside business. We got your matching gas stations here, and some modern stuff, your grocery store, your medical center. And so, yeah, I think we'll take a look at a few things that I wanted to drop down over here. First being this tax office that will help out, with the economy that we're not playing with at all, but also just kind of fill in some space. It's got a great blueprint, and so, footprint. It's got a great footprint. So we'll fill some of that stuff in. And then the other thing that I really liked was this chapel. I think this thing looks awesome. So this seems like something that was back here when the railroad first went in. So I think we'll just tuck this guy right off the street, right back here, and kind of slip this in, and we'll make this a whole plaza area. We'll just get a little road in here to connect it off to the main road here, but I think the architecture on this one just looks awesome. So now that is connected to Empire Street, yeah, that's good, and we'll get that all nice and set up, and you can come out of church and see a freight train. And then the other thing I wanted to look at was, I was looking at some places a little more east than what we're mostly looking at for these towns, but I think I was looking at Iowa City, and I think it was maybe Cedar Rapids, where they really had some brick buildings like really up on the water, on the rivers in those areas, because a lot of those towns are, they always have rivers. So I think that'll be a great kind of looking thing to do. So let's see if we can find these buildings that I had kind of spotted earlier here. Let's see. I think they were right here. Here we go. Yeah. So this old brick building I really love. This is a great old apartment building that used to be a factory probably, that needed water, and now has turned into some loft apartments and cool stuff like that. So that's going to be awesome. And then where was this other one? Yeah. Okay. So this is a building I love that has kind of a big footprint. So it's going to be a little tough to get too close to the water. But I think if we just set it down here And then let's try, if we rotate it maybe, we can get it. Oh, hold on. There we go. Might be able to tuck it in here. And yeah, and then let's see. We can get a little road. Yeah, okay. I think that works. And then we'll get a little road coming in, which I think will help. You know, this also was some sort of old manufacturing something. And it does narrow our river here a little bit, but I think once we get some detail in here and really help with getting this, you know, all built out, I don't think it'll feel quite as just sticking out as it looks now. And then there's just some other buildings I wanted to kind of set down that we can fill in around later, but I just wanted to establish some stuff. There's some great stuff in this leisure pack that I wanted to look at. I think one of these bigger buildings is the cinema, and yeah, let's see, maybe come out to a movie in the industrial area, and you think you can feel the explosions from the movie you're watching, but it's just a freight train going by. So that building is a little maybe modern looking. I mean, it's a great building, but I'm not sure it fits quite. Let's see if there's anything else here. Oh yeah. Oh, that's perfect. What is that, like an old? Oh, so it's like a museum. Oh, built in what, 1860? Oh, this is perfect. This is like exactly when this town was built. So we'll get rid of this movie theater for now. And then, yeah, let's drop one of these in here, I think. Yeah, man, that looks perfect for this area. And actually, you know what? Let's go over here and we'll use Find It to get this guy, because that way we can drop 2 down. Because I just want to fill out this whole block with it. And even though it technically is like an art museum or something like that, I mean, man, that just looks great. This will also look great for some piers on a coastal city when we get there eventually. But so yeah, that looks great. And yeah, here's the movie theater I think we'll end up using, because this one, let's put this guy. Oh yeah, right on the corner there by that looks great. Man, what a great building this is. The front of this thing, let's just scoot that in. Yeah, I mean that marquee is awesome, and just to have the train running by that is that's great. What we got movies wise here, some train movies and Mars Attacks, and a little documentary about the train that's running out front here. And then let's see, I got some jank going on in this road, which is certainly coming from my custom train road here. And oh, that's not getting rid of it. Well, I think that's fine for the moment. It is right on that crosswalk line, so it's kind of hidden. So we'll just pretend it's not there. And then, oh, the other thing I wanted to get in here, we're already using it in Blackfoot, but is this, where is it here? Yeah, the steakhouse. This is just too perfect. So let's throw this in here again, and we'll just find the right block for it. Yeah, I mean, right on the corner there, I think is great. And we'll just repurpose repurpose this guy, which is also a great old building. And let's find a corner for it. Yeah, I think, let's see, we just rotate. Yeah, that'll work if it fits. Oh, it does. Perfect. Great. And then moving on, let's see what else we have. That might be it for the leisure thing. A lot of these are clubs and stuff, which doesn't make too much sense, I think, in this area, but a little bar here on the corner I think works. And then, yeah, let's get over to some actual industrial stuff here. So I want to fill in the rest of this neighborhood, you know, get this between our kind of big industry stuff we have going on here. So we can go with some, maybe if there's the agricultural or the lumber. stuff. Oh, I guess it's called, I don't know if oil makes total sense. We can put in some forest. No, it's not called forestry. It's called, forestry. Yeah, there it is. So these are just not buildings though. They're just these flat little kind of storage units that I think I'd like to get some buildings in. So get that one down. And do we want oil? I mean, you know, I'm sure that this paper plant uses all sorts of stuff that could be, you know, some sort of other chemical, but definitely some agricultural looking vats and silos and stuff I think definitely makes sense. So drop one of those in somewhere. Yeah, that'll work. And then of course, your classic warehouse. You really can't go wrong with these. These just look awesome. A lot of these remind me of, there were these great warehouse custom assets from City Skylines 1. I think they were called like a UK warehouse pack, but they worked really well for North American stuff that just had that kind of modern warehouse looking, those roofs and kind of tin walls, and those things were great. So, and then I did want to get a school in here, but I don't know. Way out here, I think we're going to have more housing and stuff and farming and more of a rural area in this whole spice out here. So maybe we end up doing a school out there. I don't know that a school sticking it in this kind of downtown area makes a ton of sense. Is there anything else in here? These are all huge. Yeah, we'll forego the school for now, but this actually might be a good place for, where we go here, the bus. I do want to get a bus system going. It's something I've been thinking about for a while, and this may be actually a good place for the bus depot. I wasn't quite sure where to put it, but we've got a nice little industrial area going on. You know, we've got trains that kind of go from this new town, you know, all the way into Moffett and into Blackfoot, but the trains don't hit Donner, they don't hit our farming, they don't hit Rockwell, and so you know, we're gonna have places all over the whole map here. So I think we are gonna need a bus for where the trains don't take us. So I think this is actually going to be a good place for a bus depot, and we'll just kind of get that down there, and we'll worry about stops and bus stations and all that, and, you know, another time. But I think that's a great place to drop that down. And then I also really liked this shopping center. I do think we're using this maybe in Blackfoot, but it really takes up a lot of good space. It's a little modern, but I think if we think of it as some sort of converted old manufacturing building or warehouse of some sort, I think that'll work. It just takes up a lot of good space and is a nice chunky asset to throw in. And then I did also really like these kind of apartment complexes because they're already detailed. They look like, you know, there's a lot going on. I think you'd see these in some rural areas, just kind of low density, high density, kind of low density apartments. So I think there's a matching one too that is a little different that has some parking. So we can throw these. Let's see, where do we want to stick this guy? Actually, I feel like these guys should be off the road, right? Like not directly on these main roads. So let's see if we just kind of move this around. They can have their own road, but oof, we are really getting tight on this mountain and that's a 100-foot drop there straight down. So I don't know. We're going to have to figure out a way to make these mountains feel natural. So this actually might not be the best spot. Let's see if we scoot these over here just a little bit. I think we'll fit in a little bit better, and then we can line these up with this crossroad and get them their own road. And let's just put in we'll use these parking roads, I think, even though that one has parking already, but that one fits in nicely. And we'll just scoot these over, and yeah, and then Actually, let's also grab another road back here and maybe another parking alleyway. And we'll throw in a third one just to fill this space out. Let's see if we can just get this lined up. That'll work. And then get the alleyway. And yeah. And let's see, where are we going to connect this? Is this going to be weird? Yep, it's a little weird, but I think it's okay. We can always adjust it later if we're not feeling that, but that's where we go. Just drop this guy back in. And yeah, once that's all detailed up, we won't even really need much. I think just throwing in some ground decals and some trees should get the job done. And that's a great little housing area. So that feels great. And then I want to get a little row house district going on back here to just kind of fill in with some medium density residential. And let's see, I'm going to filter these by probably Northeastern, and some of these UK ones work. And I don't know about that there actually are Southwest. I always click it, but I don't think that actually gives me anything. So yeah, we'll just go through and drop some of these in. And using the find it random tool, I have it assigned to R. So whatever your filter is, you just hit R and it'll throw you a random building out of what you've got filtered. And it really goes a long way for making plopping, mostly kind of low density residential where you just need a lot of them and you need them to look really varied and kind of as mixed up as you can. That really just helps it go a really long way. Okay, and I think this is a great start. Obviously, we've got plenty to do, but this really is feeling good. So we'll need some new names. So we'll need a name here for our farming area. So feel free to drop something in the comments for this. So for now, we'll go with farming name. And then we'll need a name for this new city. We've already got some great comments coming through from last episode, but feel free to keep suggesting things. We're thinking this was originally a fishing town, and the fishing industry kind of faded away for one reason or another, and we got into manufacturing and paper making and lumber. So any kind of history you have thoughts behind that, feel free to drop in, and we'll get this guy named up because Hamilton End is not going to cut it. But yeah, thanks so much to everyone for watching and all your comments. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, I'd appreciate it if you could go ahead and do that, as well as hit a like and drop a comment. And yeah, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time. Bye.